Good evening, councillors, ladies and gentlemen, gallery, and anybody watching online. Welcome to the ordinary meeting of council for June. We have with us this evening from the executive team, General Manager Ken Ross, Director of Corporate Services Simon Rule, and Director of Roads and Engineering Jeff Gunn, who will answer any of our questions. I'll ask the General Manager to make announcements regarding the live streaming of this evening's meeting.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The meeting is being live streamed and or recorded for on-demand viewing via Council's website. Attendance at the meeting is to be taken as consent by a person to their image and or voice being webcast. All speakers should refrain from making any defamatory comments or releasing personal information about another individual without their consent. Council accepts no liability for any damage that may result from defamatory comments made by persons attending meetings. All liabilities will rest with the individual who made the comments. The meeting must not be recorded by others without prior written consent of the Council in accordance with Council's Code of Meeting Practice. Councillors and staff are obligated to declare conflicts of interest as required under the Local Government Act 1993 and Council's adopted Code of Conduct. Councillors are reminded of their oath of office, whereby they have declared and affirmed that they will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of Wentworth Shire and Wentworth Shire Council, and they will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in them under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of their ability and judgment. Thank you.
Thank you, General Manager. I'll ask anybody who's able and willing to stand for the prayer, please. Councillors, let us in silence reflect upon our responsibilities to the community which we represent and to all future generations, and faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in us to the best of our skill and judgment. Thank you. Are there any apologies or applications for leave of absence? We have received a request for leave of absence from Councillor Elstone. Councillor Nichols. Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Starrick. Are there any further put the motion? Those who in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Move to item 4. Are there any disclosures of interest? Councillor Wedding.
Yes, item 9.10. I'm a director of the Community Club. It involves a vote with them.
Co-sponsors.
Co-sponsors.
Noted. Thank you. Okay. Any further disclosures? All right. Before we move to the minutes, I'll invite Councillor Crisp.
Mr Mayor, I move that the orders be suspended to allow for a public forum.
Thank you. So motion seconded. Councillor Rodder, all in favour? Thank you. That's carried. I will invite Mark Forbes-Wilson to address council. Mark is speaking against item 9.6. Mr Wilson, if you'd like to address from the front of the chamber, if you like, for a period of 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr Mayor, councillors and General Manager. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you tonight. My name is Mark Forbes-Wilson, and together with my wife, who is here this evening, we own Mildura Waste and Recycling, a small local family-run business operating here in the Wentworth Shire. We're proud to live here, work here and contribute to this community economically, environmentally and socially. I'm here tonight to express serious concern about the proposed 17% increase to the Baronga landfill tip fees. Over the years, we've accepted CPI-aligned increases. That's fair, it's part of doing business. But this proposal is more than 6 times that of CPI. For a small business like ours, this isn't a manageable adjustment. It's a significant hit to our biggest operating expense. We work on tight margins. We focus on delivering value, not just to our customers, but to the broader community. This increase will have to be passed on, and that means local residents, families, and other small businesses will all feel the impact. What's more concerning, there's an out-of-town operator currently bringing in 200 tonnes per week to the Baronga landfill. They're doing so at a heavily discounted rate, already lower than what locals are paying. And they will not be subject to the 17% increase that we are. So locals pay more while outsiders pay less. It's not fair, it's not sustainable, and it's just plain not right. We understand the council has to fund services and balance budgets, but this can be done fairly, with the interests of local people, families, and small businesses in mind. The out-of-town operators can do their fair share of lifting in this proposal. We're not asking for special treatment, we're just asking for a fair go, a level playing field, one that doesn't disadvantage locals or reward those who don't live or invest here in our community. So we respectfully ask that this proposal be rejected and sent back for review, with proper consultation and a focus on fairness and equity. Thanks for your time and for your continued service to the good people of the Wentworth Shire.
Thank you. And just in the nick of time. Thanks, Mr. Forbes-Wilson. Now, did any councillor have a question for Mark while we're in public forum? Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Crisp.
I move that the council move back to the business of the day.
Is a motion seconded? Thanks, Councillor Rodder. Those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. We will move to item 5, confirmation of minutes. Do I have a mover? Councillor Nichols, seconded Councillor Evans. Any queries, corrections or discussion? Those in favour of adopting the minutes? Thank you, that is carried. Standing matters, there are none. We'll move to item 7. I move my report and seek a seconder. Councillor Weeding, thank you. Any questions?
Been on holidays already, Mr. Mayor. There's nothing there from the 23rd of May. I find that hard to believe.
Just burning the midnight oil, Councillor Rodder. Studiously at work. There's no questions. I'll move the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. That is carried. Item 8, reports from committees. The Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee have a recommendation, and I'll seek a mover. Councillor Starrick, seconded Councillor Armstrong. Any questions? Those in favour? Thank you, that is carried. Councillor Crisp.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I move that a late item be admitted to the agenda and it be item 9.13.
Thank you. That's item 9.13, DA for Public Optic Symphonic Orchestra installation. Seconded, Councillor Rodder. All those in favour? Thank you. That is admitted. Move to item 9.1, General Manager's Report. Could I seek a mover? Councillor Rodder. Seconded, Councillor Crisp. Any discussion or questions? Councillor Starrick.
A question, are the companion animal fees set by regulation or set by council?
No, the Office of Local Government set those.
Councillor Armstrong.
No, sorry, that was a similar question.
No further questions? Put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Item 9.2, the Murray-Darling Basin Authority River Reflections Conference, which is happening in the last couple of days of July. Is there a mover? Councillor Weeding, second is Councillor Starrick. Now, what are we moving?
Yeah, we're moving. We have to determine some attendees, Mr. Mayor.
We do, and whether you wish to attend in person or via live streaming or video link. Councillor Weeding.
Video for me, if I'm going.
Right up your alley, Councillor Armstrong.
No, I'm actually at another conference those same days. So
Councillor Evans, you're on our Region 4 NBA committee. Is that something that interests you
Yeah.
in attending?
Yeah, it would be.
Um,
What's the sentiment in regard to council sending someone?
I think council should send someone.
yeah.
Yes.
I agree. I'm supporting that, Mr. Mayor. There's only 3 issues in the southern connected Murray-Darling Basin: the choke, the Memory Lakes, and the lower lakes, and this is a chance to have a look at what's happening down there.
All right. So perhaps if I get somebody to remove the motion that incorporates sending 1 or 2 delegates in person, and for anyone else who wishes to attend online.
I'll remove the motion that we send 1 or 2 people down, and anybody else wants to do it online.
Excellent motion. Is the motion seconded? Yeah. Councillor Starrick. Any further discussion?
We need to nominate the delegate.
You may or may not. Councillor Evans has obviously expressed an interest, so it's not necessary to nominate another delegate now, but you can if you want to.
Oh, that's fine.
Leave that to availability.
Yeah.
Okay,
Seems like it.
that's good. Okay, if there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Item 9.3, request for event sponsorship, the Good Golly Music Festival 2025. Would someone like to move a motion?
Would like to move a motion to open the request for discussion.
So you're moving the recommendation as written?
I'd like to open the discussion on the recommendation.
Well, I need a motion moved, and then we can discuss it.
I move a motion, alternative motion, that we do not fund the $30,000, including in kind.
Okay, Councillor Rodder has moved that we do not fund the Good Golly Music Festival to the tune of $30,000. Is that motion seconded?
Yeah, I'll second that, Mr.
Councillor Armstrong, seconded. Open for discussion. Would you like to speak to your motion, Councillor Rodder?
I would. So there's a number of things that concern me about the proposal, although it's quite lengthy in detail in some regards. We've got no indication there of who actually is going to be the headline act. And in regards to the venue selection, so to put the maximum number of people into the venue, I hold very serious concerns about the capacity and the traffic implications in that regard in that particular area. I think there needs to be a little bit more work done around particularly the location, and we need some more details who we're paying $30,000 to bring to town.
Thank you, Councillor Rodder. Would anyone like to speak against the motion? Would anyone else like to speak for the motion?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, only that I share Councillor Lynn's concerns, right? I think when you look at Easter and the ski race is on, there's 400 or 500 people there and it's packed, right? Like, I don't think the projected numbers, while there was an extensive amount of detail in the application, I don't see how it can successfully fit in that location. It's also dependent on applying for and receiving a state government grant for which there's no guarantee to be successful. So I just don't think with the current detail, the fact that there is no headline act potentially even locked in, it wouldn't be good to support this at this time.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak for or against?
Just a question, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, Councillor Nichols.
Should it proceed? I know Councillor Otto said the 30,000. I'm just wondering whether the $4,020 that they want for traffic management and extra bins, whether council would consider those figures.
So the motion that we're debating is not to refuse the event, it's just to not support it by way of financial contribution. Is that the intent of your motion?
I wouldn't like to see the event supported financially or otherwise in its current location without a headline act.
Okay.
So how do you want me to
Sorry, Eb, can I just see what the motion actually says? So the motion is to not provide financial sponsorship. It doesn't prevent we're neither approving nor.
So which included in the 30,000, but given that we've only been asked for to approve sponsorship of the event, we're not being asked to approve the venue. Presumably that will come down to the planning department or council to deny that because it doesn't work to have that many people in that amount of space, so they shouldn't approve it in the first instance.
All right. Well, if you're happy with the clarity of the motion there, we can proceed. Otherwise, I'll give you an opportunity to add some further clarity to your motion, and if the seconder is in agreement, just so we're not left with any doubt as to what the intent is.
The motion's fine.
Yeah, I would think that the council staff would have the same concern from a health and safety perspective at that location with that number of people, and so council shouldn't approve that event in the first instance.
Okay. Thank you. If there's no further speakers, I'm going to put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? The motion is carried. Yes, sorry. We will move to item 1.4, the monthly finance report for May. Can I have a mover? Councillor Armstrong, seconded Councillor Rotter. Open for questions. Councillor Crisp.
To direct the rule, page 157, there's a tabulation there.
That's the next report.
Next report, right, yep, I'm early. Hold that one, Mr. Mayor.
Held. Any further discussion or questions? Put the motion. Those in favour?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, just scraped in. I've got a question in regards to the balance outstanding at June 30, 2024 of rates and water. So that is that amount there that's listed above normal?
No, that was actually better than what it had been in previous years. So
previously, we've listed properties for sale that had unpaid rates.
Yep.
Are we looking likely to do that again?
not at the moment, but it's something that we keep an eye on.
I think we were long overdue last time. How long are we keeping an eye on it for?
We're not in the same position as what we were at that particular point in time where we had a number of properties. So, I mean, I think as I mentioned at the time, generally, once we sort of go down the track of telling the ratepayer that potentially this is where things are going to go, that sort of
It's still a
it
significant,
never gets to that amount of money. So,
it's still quite a significant amount of money outstanding, Simon.
don't get me wrong.
And everybody who pays rates who does actually pay their rates is bearing the cost of that.
In saying that, though, too, we're also adhering to our hardship policy and our debt recovery policy, which talks about fairness and not imposing too much of a burden on ratepayers. So we've got ratepayers who are on payment plans for budgetary reasons and stuff like that. So
It's not that I'm unsympathetic to that, but to the other people who are paying their rates, they're kind of carrying those who are not.
yeah, absolutely. I share your sentiments.
Thank you. Councillor Nichols.
Yeah, just a question to Mr. Rule, please. On page 153, we sort of bust our butts to get on with T Corp. Are their interest rates still as high now as what they were when we've taken out these fixed rates?
They would have come off a little bit because of the couple of interest rate cuts. I haven't looked at it in a while, but yeah, there's been 2 interest rate cuts in the last couple of months, so they would have come off a little bit.
A lot dearer than anyone else, aren't they?
No, if we were going out to the commercial market, we'd be paying more than that.
Thank you.
Councillor Starry.
Just going back to the question in regards to rates, what proportion of the outstanding rates has qualified for consideration for auction? Because not all of that balance will have met that threshold. And is it 3 years?
5 years.
5 years in New South Wales? Yep.
Yeah, no, as far as I'm aware, there's no one in that bracket at this point.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. No further questions. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. 1.5, the monthly investment report for May. Moved Councillor Crisp with a question. Seconded Councillor Armstrong. Councillor Crisp.
On page 157, Director Rule, there's a number of unexpended grants there that expire on the 30th of June.
Yep.
What's our strategy to roll that over?
Most of them have given us, have come back to us and said, yeah, we've got, because most of the projects or all the projects are substantially commenced, they're allowing us to complete those projects. So yeah, there's no issues there.
Thank you.
Some of them are annual projects anyway. So the main roads block grants and annual ones. So we'll get a new 12-month agreement with Transport for New South Wales. The roads recovery one's a 5-year program. So we've only just started the first year of a 5-year program. So whatever we don't spend this year just gets rolled into next year.
Councillor Nichols.
Again, on page 157, I had similar questions to what Councillor there had. We've got a planning cadet grant with no set date. How are we going to have that position?
We've got someone in there. So what that grant is that's funding part of her studies. So every time she completes a unit or a part of her studies, we then utilise.
Out of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did it start at?
25,000.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Put the motion. Those in favour? Thanks. That's carried. We'll move to item 9.6, endorsement of integrated planning and reporting documentation. Would someone like to move a motion? Councillor Crisp.
I'd like to move the recommendation.
Thanks. Is that seconded? Councillor Weeding. Thank you. Are there any questions, or does anyone wish to speak for the motion? Councillor Crisp.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's an extensive document, and I'm going to focus my comments on the section which principally begins on page 273, which is the operational plan, and better known to councillors as the budget. And there are a number of things that we need to consider when you have a budget, and I believe this document does meet those requirements. But the document, we need to ensure that there's sufficient resources available for our population and our growth, and to meet our commitments, such as our enterprise bargaining agreement, which has been renewed. We also have capital grants which have been assumed over the years at various figures. But on page 278, councillors, you will note in the extract of operating statement that, not surprisingly, the grants do decline significantly over the future years of 27, 28 and 29. And that means that we will have amongst our community an expectation that certain programs and things will be delivered. And in a time of declining grants, we need to be in a financial position to either undertake projects solely at our own expense or be able to offer capital contributions in order to compete in what will be a very competitive market in the economic times going forward. And that requires, I think, is to maintain that we do have a healthy bottom line. And also we need to be, we're actually required to be responsible in our spending to ensure that the current generation pays for their own expenses. And that's further highlighted on page 283, where you'll find that there's a couple of paragraphs in there that relate to how we manage debt and the period of repayment of those debts. Mr. Mayor, I'm about to be upstaged by a paddle steamer, I fear.
Fear not, that is the amazing Melbourne passing by the chamber.
And again, this document and the figures and the strategies in it to address that intergenerational debt question. Also, we note that our rates and charges are about 30% of the operating revenue, and you'll find on page 421 of your documents the strategies to or the impact if with our rates and charges we vary from that 30% of income. There's a statement there based on risk on 421, which it will bring up, and to make sure that it's where I left it. And that's to do with that first one, which is to ensure the sustainable asset life cycle management of all the projects that we have and those that we have in the future on an ongoing basis. And as we said back on page 395 too, there's the proportion of the contributions that we may have to put into certain projects is likely to vary in uncertain times. So there's also something that was discussed in our May meeting, that we do need to maintain liquidity, that is funds to pay for the operational works for external agencies, which are very important to us, and that they are funded under agreements that require acquittal, that is finishing the project before the actual money comes in. So we need to maintain a very healthy cash balance in our books to make sure that we can pay the people who do the work for us even before we're paid. So you need to have that healthy cash balance. And again, I believe this budget does deliver a budget that gives us comfort that we can continue our business as we do, and be able to undertake that work for the external agencies. And really, I think in the end, it's in uncertain times, we need to take wise counsel and a steady hand in approaching our management of risk. We are in a reasonable position, but like all things, it is fragile. But I believe this document adequately addresses the concerns I've raised, and seek council to support my motion.
Thank you, Councillor.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Crisp. Does anyone wish to speak against the motion? Does anyone wish to speak for the motion? Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I echo most, and if not all, of what Councillor Crisp has said. And I think I said it at our last meeting, right? It's important that we establish as a council good financial procedures and management so that we have a long-term sustainable council for our residents. I want to just address the concerns that Mr. Forbes Wilson brought to us. I think it's unfair that we would just pass this without addressing. You know, he's come and presented to us. And I want to say to Mr. Forbes Wilson, we hear you that the increasing cost at the waste facility is an impost on business, your business and others locally. And I want to assure you that we understand that, and we will work as a council to take those concerns on board. I can't promise a response, or an answer in the short term, but in the medium to long term, we will work to find a solution. I think that is perhaps fair or a better outcome for everyone in that space. But a lot of these cost increases, as Councillor Crisp has talked about, particularly around our waste management, is to prepare our council for the long-term sustainability in that waste management space. As we continue every few years to have to build a new cell and recap the old cell, as we have the ongoing capital costs of managing our waste facility, we need to start increasing the costs across all users in a way that is manageable and not too much of a cliff. If we were to not increase commercial waste rates in the way we have, then in a few years' time we would be looking at a significantly larger increase. So I think it's important that we do increase the rates, but acknowledging that those users of the tip who are regular users and known to us, that there are measures in place and thoughts in place long term of how to get the best outcome for all users in our waste management space, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Armstrong. Does anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Nichols.
Mr. Mayor, I'm usually the person that brings down the rates, talks against them all the time. However, if you go to page 170, if you look at the bottom of the page, it says the rates and annual charges increased by 365,000, capital expenditure increased by 100,000, and surplus from operating 365,000. We're a huge area with a small population. The population we are working on increasing, and while we have significant reserves in water and sewage particularly, having spoken with the officers of the council, both ends of the Shire have infrastructure that badly needs replacing. In fact, the amount we have sitting in surpluses won't even touch the side of the pipes we need. So, having said that, I'm acutely aware of the difficulties out in our community. I see them every day. But however, to make the council operate financially, I think we have to go with what's been presented.
Thanks, Councillor Nichols. Does anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion, or does anyone have any questions of any officers for areas requiring any clarity? All right, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Motion is carried. Okay, item 9.7, Economic Development Strategy. Recommendation, if someone would like to move, Councillor Armstrong, seconded Councillor Rodder. Any discussion?
Sure, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor.
Look, I think this is a good document. Thank you to the staff who worked. I'll just moved it. That's right. Thank you to the staff who worked to put this together for us. We talked about just in the last, as we dealt with the last resolution, that we need to look at financial sustainability of our council, and this is a good document and a good plan to help us do that. Develop our shire economically into the future, so that we can grow the resource base that all ratepayers have to bear as we support the future of our shire.
Thanks, Councillor Armstrong. Anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? For the motion, those in favour? Thank you. Item 9.8, Artificial Intelligence Policy for Adoption. Councillor Rodder has moved it. Councillor Starrick has seconded. Does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? Put the motion, those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Item 9.9, Determination of Councillor Remuneration for 25-26. There is a recommendation with options. Would someone like to move a motion? Councillor Crisp.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to move that the fees paid to council and the mayor, in accordance to the schedule provided by the Remuneration Tribunal, be for a rural council, that the figure be $13,930 for councillors, and for the mayor of a rural council it'd be $30,390. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Crisp. Is the motion seconded? Councillor Rodder. Would anyone wish to speak for the motion? Anyone wish to speak against the motion? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? The motion is carried. We'll move to item 9.10. Councillor Weeding, you give you a moment to leave the room. This is a motion dealing with funding request for skin cancer truck in conjunction with Wentworth Community Bank and the Coomiella Club. And just while we're waiting for Councillor to leave, I'll just point out that council staff undertake annual skin checks, and that has actually been very good for some individuals in identifying problems that otherwise wouldn't be identified. The community had opportunity to utilise these services last year for one day in one part of the Shire, and it was booked out overnight. So this proposal deals with partnering with the club and the bank to offer it across the Shire for 2 days in 3 different locations each. So 6 days for the community, which I think, given our climate and so on, is a really useful idea. Having said that, I'll seek a mover for the motion. Councillor Armstrong.
I'd move as written, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Nichols.
I'll move it with a question, Mr. Mayor. I second it with a question.
Yeah, certainly.
Would this have not fallen under our financial grants? Why didn't we come in through those? We haven't quite run out of money yet, have we?
Oh, well, yeah, well, it would take us over, but it's also for next financial year as well.
So that's sort of
Councillor Rodder, would you like to speak to the motion?
Well, actually, I'd like to speak to a point that Councillor Nichols just made in regards to so our financial assistant budget. So there's been numerous times where there's been comments made mainly by myself in regards to us being able to have on hand information in regards to what the budget is, what's been expended when we're given proposals or requests for funding. Would it be possible to put a report into the papers monthly so we can see where we're tracking in that regard? So what is the budget for the financial assistant?
So it's 200,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I suppose the purpose of this one was because this came in late, we hadn't had a chance to factor it into next year's budget. So that's why I've asked for the budget variation as well, because if this was approved and came out of next year's budget, all of a sudden you've used up nearly 10% of next year's budget before we've even started the financial year. So it's going to sit on top of.
It would be helpful because we have a number of annual events that we fund regularly.
Yeah, they come out of a separate. This one's purely for community groups and things like that.
Yep. So same. So can we please have a report which shows that the financial assistant budget is set at $200,000? What's actually been expended when we're presented with requests for.
So when we do that quarterly budget, we actually have that in there. It goes in there to say the budget approved at the start of the year is X. Here's the various times we've made. So probably what we don't do is potentially when they come in ad hoc, which is say the Meals on Wheels last year, which came in as an ad hoc one, we probably don't have that detail in there. But when we do the quarterly report to say here's the requests that have come in over the last 3 months that we're asking the council to consider, that report does go through and say
that's quarterly, not when the actual request comes before council, because we've got no way of knowing from looking at this what's been approved under delegated authority. So for both the financial assistant budget and the other income stream, if we could have reports which detail what's actually been approved when requests come through, that would be most helpful.
Thank you, Councillor. Does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion?
Speak for the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Armstrong.
Well, I think this is a great initiative that we're able to support the club, the Community Club and the Community Bank in undertaking. I would recommend everyone in the community, I myself have fairer skin and probably should be living in our climate here, but somewhere with a bit less sun. But look, I think taking the opportunity to go and get your skin checked is, if you have the opportunity to take advantage of this facility that we're bringing to town, I would recommend you do it. I get checked every year. So far, fingers crossed, no cancers, but lots of sunspots cut out or frozen off. But yeah, I think it's a great thing. Happy to support it as a council because I think it brings a lot of benefit. That the early detection of skin cancers is vital for long-term positive outcomes for those who have them.
Thank you, Councillor Armstrong. Does anyone else wish to contribute to the debate? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. That's carried, and thank you to Beck Marshall for bringing this initiative to us. Okay. Welcome back, Councillor Weeding. We'll move to item 9.11, which is a DA for a dwelling with garage at Kings Road, Monac. Councillor Armstrong is moving.
Yeah,
Seconder.
Sorry, the recommendation as written.
Moving the recommendation as written and seconded by Councillor Evans. Are there any, does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? And I should have mentioned that as this is a planning matter, the vote will be considered a division and all votes for and against will be recorded. Councillor Nichols will be recorded against. Thank you. Item 9.12. So soon. Favourite report. Project and Works Report for June 2025. Could I have a mover? Councillor Rodder, seconded Councillor Armstrong. Open for questions and discussion. Does anyone have a question? I have a question. Director Gunn, the road widening and line marking works on Corbett Avenue and Eltringa Drive, the works that have been done are fantastic. When will the second half of the Eltringa Drive component be completed?
Stage 2 as part of a package of other works, and I believe it's a Roads to Recovery Fund project. So again, we will package work up with a couple of other projects as it involves stabilisation works. At this point in time, I believe it is on or about the end of this calendar year, but I'll just confirm that, and I'll come back to you to clarify the exact time as it links in with a couple of other projects and the tender.
Thanks. You're leaning towards it being revised earlier.
At this stage, yes.
Thanks. Thanks, Director Gunn. Councillor Nichols.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I've got three questions I'd like to ask. On page 617, it says works have commenced on the Womba Road section that due to be completed by mid-June. Has that happened?
I believe that is very close. I can't clarify when this was actually this report was written, but I believe it is. If it hasn't been, it's very close.
I might just take on board. The section has been completed and they're going to do additional work out there.
Good, that's good. The Buronga Riverfront toilet block, I don't know that I'm going to live long enough to see this built. It's not functioning though. Is it, I mean, we're still waiting for the well, the wet well, or whatever you call it. Has
Yes,
that?
we've had some robust discussions with the supplier and reached an arrangement that wet well, which has actually been subcontracted out, is now gone across to the principal contractor. That's been fitted out with pumps, and we're hoping that is delivered to Buronga prior to the end of this week. It still requires a bit of fit out, so yes, there was a number of issues with the supplier provider, not the principal contractor of the project, but the provider.
Thank you. I thought I'd go down there and see a 44-gallon drum with a pump on the
So we
side.
could still do that, yes. No.
Now the only other one is the electric vehicles. We're still waiting for the approval of essential energy for the charger for here. Are we still waiting? Because this was written some time ago.
Embarrassingly, I'm going to take your question on notice.
Thank
I
you.
did see something on Ryan's desk where he was.
Okay. Thank
His
you.
conduit's gone in at Midway down the Caravan Park. Still waiting on stuff here though, I think.
Yeah, the location's set for here though.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Councillor Nichols. Councillor Rodder.
Even though it's not listed here, I just wonder if you can let us know what's going on with in Buronga where the caravans and things pull in there past the old basketball court. There's work's being done there. What is happening there?
Wrong water injector pump.
Is that-
Hoarding been around there for a fair while.
Oh, that's yeah. So that was part of the works for the trunk main flow meters. At that particular location, necessitated installation of a new valve, and they're waiting for the valve is actually in, but they're waiting for a little bit more infrastructure and a sleeve to bring that to the surface before it gets backfilled.
Because there was maybe they've been in the last term of council, and correct me if I'm mistaken, Ken, there should be a toilet block going in along there somewhere. there was some discussions around whether it went there or next to the existing. Is that still a project that's on the agenda? We didn't get any money for that? Okay. Oh, I was getting excited. I thought Simon's put
With the topic of discussion.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan.
Thank you.
Councillor Weeding.
Just further to Council Nichols' question on the EVs, is that a user pay system or?
Yeah, it'll be a user pays.
Get your card in.
Get your account.
Thank you.
Happy card.
Any further questions? I'll just finish then, Director Gunn. We're on the pump track, stage 2. I need an interpreter for Gen Alpha, but shred the berm. It's Riz, it's Sigma. They were slaying it. It's a fantastic project. I just want to congratulate whoever made the decisions inside council to go with such a high-end technical track. Word on the street is it's Red Bull spec, and so we can expect lots of future tourism and events around that. But it's a fabulous project, and I'd encourage you to get your kids down there, or if you're game, try it out yourself. So thank you. Pass that on to the board. Rightio. Let us move on to late report item 9.13, the fibre optic symphonic orchestra art installation at Wentworth Road, Wentworth. We have a recommendation for approval. Councillor Crisp.
I'd like to move the recommendation to approve.
Thank you. Councillor Rodder, you are seconding the motion. Would anyone like to speak for the motion? Would anyone like to speak against the motion? Does anyone have a question?
I would like to speak for the motion, please, Mr. Mayor, if I may.
You may.
So,
Councillor Rodder speaking for the motion.
thank you very much. To see the DA come before council for this very, very exciting project is extremely pleasing. I look forward to welcoming lots of visitors to our region later this year when FOSO is open. It's definitely the jewel in the crown of the White State project, and I commend council's work on getting that before us this month. Very exciting.
Would anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Armstrong.
Oh, no, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry, I thought you had something to say.
It's great to see the DA here in council to be
Thank you.
approved.
I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. That's carried. We shall jog along to item 10, notices of motion. I beg your pardon. As a planning matter, that vote will be recorded as a division, and all votes for and against will be recorded. The vote was unanimous. In favour. Okay, item 10, notices of motion. We have a motion from Councillor Rodder, which I anticipate you would like to move.
Thank you. I would like to move the motion as listed there.
Thank you. Is the motion seconded? Councillor Weeding, would you like to speak to your motion, Councillor Rodder?
Thank you. So, subsequent to the motion and contact being made with council, I'm very pleased to say that there's been significant works and a contractor has been sent in and done a fantastic job in cleaning up some of the playground equipment. So, and I see that there'll be a formulated a plan following an external audit in the first quarter of 25-26. There will be we'll be following up on that one to make sure that it does happen. We've got a beautiful new park down here at Wentworth. Some of our other playground equipment is looking a little bit worse for wear, and I think it's important to keep those facilities up to date. There's children that are too small for the pump track, as wonderful as it is. But yeah, so the playground equipment across the Shire is extremely important for those little ones. So I thank council's work on that and look forward to seeing the results of the audit.
Thanks, Councillor Rodder. I'm going to give opportunity for someone to speak against that, if you dare. Would anyone else like to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Nichols.
Yes, Mr Mayor, last month, I think it was, it might have been a month before, I raised the condition of a playground in Wentworth, Neville Street. I've since been down there. The offending bird, whether it be Nagura or whether it be California punctuaweed, me being a woman or not really know, I just know it sticks in your clothes, hasn't been eliminated. It's a very sick looking little playground and has had some water on it. But I would think, like Councillor Rodder said, that we need to look at all our playgrounds because there's nothing worse than having little people go down and fall over and have a room full of people. So we need to look at all of them, and it says in here on a periodic, I think, it needs to be more than periodic. It needs to be some sort of look every year, every 6 months even, because I think we put playgrounds in. I know we have more playgrounds probably than half the universe has got. Every time we do a park or we have a new development, we send put playground in. But if we put them in, we must maintain them.
Thanks, Councillor Nichols. And yes, I think this motion does capture your sentiment of conducting an audit and across the Shire. Councillor Evans? Does anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. That is carried. Councillor Crisp.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I move the council adjourns in closed session. The recording of the meeting be suspended. All members, the press and the public be excluded from the closed session, and that access to correspondence and reports relating to items considered during the closed session be withheld unless declassified by a separate resolution.
Thanks, Councillor Crisp. Is the motion seconded? Councillor Rodder. Those in favour? Thank you. That's carried. Thank you. Thank you, General Manager.
Thank you very much. It's give a report that in closed council business this evening there was 4 subject matters due for deliberation. Item 12.1, it was authorised that 3 compensation notices be issued to the Barkindji Native Title Group pursuant to the Land Acquisition Just Terms Compensation Act 1991. In relation to the Junction Iron viewing platform, it was resolved that council, in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government Act, award the tender to Arch Project Group Proprietary Limited to complete the construction work of the Junction Island viewing platform for the sum of $241,114.79, excluding GST, and authorise the Mayor and myself as General Manager to sign the contract. In relation to item 12.3, bulk flow meter installation, it was resolved that council, in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government Act and tender regulation, accepts the tender from True Drive Proprietary Limited, trading as RDG Electrical, and subsequently authorised the Mayor and myself as the General Manager to sign the contract document and affix the seal for the recommended contractor to carry out all work specified to install the flow meters for $181,819.46 GST including, and in addition to the above awarding of the contract, it is recommended that the council approve the transfer of $79,375 GST exclusive from the annual water infrastructure fund for the project, increasing the leakage and metering project budget from $239,750 to $319,125 GST exclusive. In relation to 12.4 was in deliberation the head contractor construction of the fibre optics symphonic orchestra infrastructure. It was resolved that in accordance with section 178(3)(e) of the Local Government General Regulation 2021, resolved to enter into negotiation with a preferred contractor nominated in the assessment panel's recommendation with a view to enter into contract in relation to the subject matter of the tender, and authorise the Mayor and myself as General Manager to sign the contract documentation and affix the council seal. And that concluded tonight's closed business of council. Thank you.
Thank you, General Manager. That concludes the meeting. Thank you all for your attendance. Our next meeting is the 16th of July. And remember, why not winter in Wentworth?
Well, I suppose we can have another.
She's going to Italy.